Hello and welcome back to the Way to Native Chronicles. We're going to do something a little special today. I always say that, don't I? Well, we're always doing something special. But this is really special, okay? We're going to talk about using a drone on a trapline. This is pretty new technology, and the technology has changed very rapidly over the past, just the past 2 or 3 years, in fact. So that opportunities are now available to you that you may not even be aware of. These drones today are so smart and sophisticated and at a fairly reasonable price that this really deserves a video all by itself. Now, a lot of people have made videos about using drones, but they're drone enthusiasts. This video is going to be especially aimed at trappers, because there's probably some trappers out there wondering, is something like this, does it have a potential use for on a trap line? See, I'm going to just turn this guy around. I'll just, whoa, hey, I want to turn him around here. Okay, so now he's looking at you, you see? You can control these drones perfectly. I go up, fast or slow. I can go down, I can go left, I can go right. And the whole time that this drone is flying, it's got a gimbal mounted camera on it, so everything is perfectly smooth, and it's recording everything in 4K, so very high resolution. So you might be thinking, and you might have thought this already, that it's kind of neat stuff, but can I use, how does the thing work, how hard is it to use, stuff like that. And the answer is, it's really not all that hard. And how can it be used? Well, I want to give you the pros and cons in this video, because it's not all pros, there's some cons. One of the cons is, with these devices, they don't work in very cold temperatures. So -4 Celsius, I think, is what DJI recommends. And I guess I should mention, what is the make of this drone? The one you should get is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I'd advise you to get the Fly More package with it, that gives you extra batteries. But this is a recently released drone. It has all the best modern stuff in it. It's very stable. As you can see, it's just staying in one place. Everything runs off GPS on these things, so it knows exactly where it is. And if you're using it out on a trap line, you can do some really neat things. Like, for instance, it can do waypoints. I can take this thing off and I can fly it down to our trap line to different spots, and at each spot I want it to follow a certain path, and I can just add in waypoints on this controller, and then I can save those waypoints, fly it back, but I always have the waypoints saved on this controller. And if I want to fly that same route again the next day, 2-3 times a day if I want, I just launch the drone, say, do that path, and it'll do it. So I mean, I'm covering this stuff at not a very deep level, just giving you a quick overview. There's a lot of things you want to learn about these things, but just in terms of the basic capabilities. I'm just going to move this. This guy's making me a little nervous. I'm going to move him over a little bit. There. Don't, just keep your distance. It's kind of like having a dog, A lot of people like to have a dog, maybe on a trap line too, and you can say with a dog, well, they have some uses, but I mean, there's some cons too, eh? So this type of thing, one of the neat things about this drone is that it has built-in obstacle avoidance. You can see there's those 2 front eyes on it. There's 2 eyes pointing back, and there's 2 eyes on the bottom too. So it can actually see objects and avoid them. I could turn this thing and fly it down this cut line, even at fairly low height, and it will just dodge and weave and go up and down and around obstacles when it sees trees and stuff like that. I can also take this drone and I can mark myself or any target, like a truck, to be the target for it to follow, and it'll just actively track that thing. So I've got videos on that already where we're driving right out of this whole trap line, showing you the entire path. So stuff like that opens up a lot of possibilities. I mean, let your imagination be your guide on this, right? Even as I'm talking, I could go on and on forever on this, because there's just so many things I have tried and have yet to try. So I've had this only about less than a month, I think, and right off the bat I was able to fly it fairly well. One of the interesting things about this unit is, and as I'm talking, I'm just going to be putting in some footage of what we've been filming, recording around here for the Trapline. But one of the interesting things about this product is that DJI offers a refresh program. When you buy the drone for another $79 US, you can get their refresh policy, which means you can crash this thing or lose it up to 2 times, and they'll give you a new one. So that takes a lot of the pressure off learning, because I know from my own experience, when I took the thing off to fly the first time, very nerve-wracking, and thinking, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I take this drone, I'm going to just show you, like she's going to go way up. I'm just going to fly her way up, and you can see this drone. I can turn the camera down to see us. Let's see, where are we? We're somewhere around here, I think. Yeah. So I'll just keep on going up. I'm giving you some shots of what the controller sees as well, which is kind of neat. And I think I have a preset limit for height that I could exceed if I really wanted to, I think. But this thing is just going up and up and up. So you can see a very large area here. But I'm just controlling it with these joysticks here, right? So if I want to turn this thing around, I'll just rotate it like so, eh? I use the joysticks for that. And if I want to go left or right, I go bank it left or right, forward or back. I'm gonna bring it straight down again. But if I want to look around, then I just tilt the camera up, and I can see that lake in the far distance, so I can get a good idea of what's going on here. Maybe I'll point the camera down again, and I'm going to bring this thing back down low as I go on about this a little bit. Okay, let's see. I'm going to bring this little puppy down. It's quite impressive, but you know, when you get the drone up there high, you lose sight of it, and it's a very small drone. So that kind of makes you nervous too, right? If it's small. So I'm going to move it ahead. We'll move it ahead a little bit. Okay, okay, let's bring this puppy down. Okay, yeah, I can see it up there. It's one of the nice things about this drone is that it's quite quiet. It's quieter than all the other drones made, actually. And you can control the speed of things. So I'm going to just bring her back. And I'll bring it down. Now, as I said, it has obstacle avoidance, but I'm not too crazy on trusting that. So it's great if obstacle avoidance will avert a crash or a collision with something someday, but I don't want to trust it really. Okay, so shall we carry on here? Oh, now if you're looking at the camera on that drone, watch, it's going to move. I'm going to bring the camera up because it was just pointed straight down the ground, and now here I am again. And I can turn it as I want. So that camera And you know what I was talking about, its ability to do waypoints and follow a path. So every point along the way, you can, whatever you set your camera elevation pointing up and down to, and the elevation of the drone itself, it's not just X and Y coordinates on the earth that it's keeping in its memory. It's actually remembering what height was it when you pushed save that waypoint, and then for each waypoint it replicates the position of the camera, the height, and the longitude and latitude that the drone was in. So that's kind of what goes on there. It's now the price of a unit like this is it's about around $1,100 Canadian. I think the price has come down a little bit now, so you're going to spend about $1,200 for a unit like this, but it does have that DJI refresh package, so that makes a difference too. I mentioned the temperature limitations. The other thing that I want to mention is range limitations. This is stuff that I've been finding out as I go. I find that in this thick bush here, if I'm getting 400 meters away from me before it loses signal with the controller, then I'm doing actually pretty good. If I'm in an open field, I think I could send this thing like miles, like a kilometer or two easily. Now, what you might be thinking next is that, okay, yeah, so it might lose connection. Hey, that sounds kind of scary. No. The other thing about this unit is that it has a remote, a go to home capability. So when I take this thing off, the whole thing is run off GPS. So before it'll take off before that, but it'll tell you, hey, hold on, I'm just finding some satellites here, and once it finds about 13 satellites, then it says, okay, I know where I am in the world. And you can see on this controller screen, I got a little map on the bottom. So I'm going to just touch that and show you. Here's where I am, where the drone is, and where I am. It shows me my entire path that I've traveled with the drone so far, and where the drone is and where I am. Now that could still be a little difficult to find your way back home. So it has a return to home function. All I have to do is hit this return to home function, and it will ascend to a height that I've predetermined that I want it to in order to avoid trees and stuff. And then it's going to just head straight back home. And you might think that couldn't possibly work, but yeah, it does. I've flown this thing I fly it out of range almost every time I fly it around here. And because I trust it so much, I just send it off, and once the controller says to me, I've lost track of the drone, say, oh, okay, well, I'll just wait, and the drone will automatically turn around and come home. In fact, I could turn the controller off and the drone would still come right back to home. So, very important feature of this thing. So it does that also if the battery is low. So it may fly out, and it's going to warn you if you're going so far away that it may not have enough battery power to get back. In fact, it'll stop and it'll turn around and come home for that too. So there's a lot of, you have to almost try hard to screw up to lose this drone. I mean, there are ways to do it, but the technology is really what's backing you up in this. So we spend a whole lot of time on the features and the capabilities of this drone. But coming back to the Trapline scenario, you got to think of, well, is this worth it to have? I mean, $1,100 is maybe not worth it by itself, but you know, a lot of stuff isn't. Buying a dog isn't either once you figure in all the shots and stuff. Some of it is just to improve your enjoyment of what you're doing too, eh? And to be honest, most trappers really aren't making a living at trapping anymore. We're doing it as a lifestyle. So especially if you're on a trapline that you're quite new to, and we are actually fairly new on this trapline, you want to explore and find out what is where. So I've taken this drone and I flew it down this cut line just today, to see what we run into when we get there, and it's all marsh and crap. So now I know that. But it's a beautiful lake there, and in the winter we could probably take a skidoo and just fly right on through. We're quite remote here. We're over 2 kilometers off the nearest main road. These are all just temporary roads going in here, which will be torn up. So we have to know this area quite well. It's I think it's 24,000, maybe 42,000 acres of land. So it's a huge area. There's a couple of lakes on it even. So find out where all your cut lines are, where your best bets for access are, potentially good spots for setting up your traps. A drone can be a real asset, especially if you are new to your trapline. So one of the other possibilities is maybe you could have the drone check your trapline. I'm a little skeptical about that because I don't like to fly too low, and you're flying high and you got your traps into the bush. I'll show you some shots of flying high over the bush with the camera pointed straight down. You can see quite a bit, and it's a high resolution video, but I'm not sure that you'd be able to, maybe, depending on where you set your traps, you know, you might be able to check your traps using this thing. So that probably covers the main points that I want to bring up with this video. What I can do is I'll maybe wrap it up just to show you how the sensors work on this thing. I'm going to land it on my hand. You can launch it by hand or launch it off a flat thing. See, notice I put my hand underneath there, it starts to move away from me. It says, oh, there's something too close to me. If I take away, if I go like this, see, it's sensing me. But if I tell it to land anyways, overcome its fear, once it comes to a stop on my hand, then it just turned off the propellers automatically. So that is quite a little unit. You can see that there. I've used up about half the battery while I was talking here. You can see the camera too is just wobbling around, staying level. Eh? Yeah. Because otherwise, you know, things, the wind and stuff might jiggle it around. I should mention too that this drone is very good in the wind. It'll handle, I guess, 50-kilometer winds is no problem. It'll hold its position by GPS, so it's not going to get blown off somewhere. It's going to fight to stay where it wants to be. So you don't have to worry too much about that. The noise is low. I mentioned that before, but that's a pretty important factor. And the size is small, so that's something that DJI did specifically with this drone, is made the total weight of the drone 249 grams. There's a reason for that specific number, is because once a drone is 250 grams, depending on your country you live in, but in Canada for sure, you don't have to have any kind of licensing or any training at all to fly this thing. Once it's 250 grams or up, then all of a sudden now you're dealing with regulations. So that is by itself a very big reason for getting one of these things. You don't, here in Canada at least, you don't have to worry about permission on a trapline. It's the drone does have built into it knowledge of where there are no-fly zones, like near helicopters. Like I was saying before, I could go on and on with this video. There's so much, but it knows where the no-fly zones and where the maximum height limitations are and things like that. You want to double check that maybe with the Canada site that gives you more specific information on no-flight zones. But basically, this does all of that for you. Is there anything I'm missing on this thing here? Okay, I'm not going to go into all the features because you can do hyperlapse, you can do photographs as well as video. Yeah, there's just stuff I could go on and on. Routes? And the routes, well, the waypoints are the routes. Hmm?
That's the waypoints. Okay.
Yeah, that's waypoints. Yeah. So the way it does waypoints is for hyperlapse mode only. And the hyperlapse is where the drone goes and it takes photographs, high resolution photographs, every 2 seconds, let's say, or whatever interval you tell it to, and it will fly around to all these waypoints taking these pictures. So if there's clouds in the background, then you will see the clouds moving fast, because you can put all those pictures together into a video later on. And that's the mode that it does the waypoints in, following the path. So very neat stuff. You can produce incredible effects with these things. But anyways, I think we should probably wrap that up for now. If you have some questions, by all means, put them in the comments below. I have a feeling there will be a lot of questions about this. And there are a lot of drones. I'm not evangelizing, especially for DJI, but I really do feel strongly this is definitely the drone you should get. It's among the lowest priced. DJI really can't be, it has no real competitors in the world. They just be moving so fast with technology advancements and packing them into these little tiny machines. It's just amazing. Like I got a 256 gigabyte SD card in here. I can just film forever with this thing. So by all means, ask me questions. I'll try to get through to all of them. And I appreciate your support of this channel. Click like on this video. You can do the buy me a coffee thing if you want to give me a little tip for thanks. That's totally up to you. But the main thing is that you got something out of this. So from the Way to Native Chronicles, I'll catch you next time, and God bless.
一day to then they like it careful to you can that's